and this is our plan of attack.
Banks have become an essential threat to our democracy. So consider this justice.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the internet. Please help support this station so this battle can continue forward. Revolution Radio!
Do you or someone you know suffer from poor circulation, shortness of breath, or chest pains? Are you looking for a more natural solution to help overcome these problems? People tell us that after just a few months taking Extendivite, their doctors have noticed unexplainable improvements in their overall health. For more information, visit heartdrop.com or call 1-877-928-8822.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
And tell them Nighthawk sent you, because if you call this number and tell them Nighthawk sent you, you'll get $5 off your first order at extendivite.com. Thank you. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome to Sacred Matrix, a divine paradigm of love and universal consciousness, with your host, Janet Kira Lessin and Dr. Sasha Lessin.
Together, we transform the world.
And now, here are your hosts, Janet Kira and Dr. Sasha Lessin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sacred Matrix on Revolution Radio, on revolution.radio. And I'm your host, Janet Kira Lessin, with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Alex Lessin. And today we have our producer, a mad painter, and we have our guests, Penny Bradley and Dan Cooper. And I put on the aquariumradio.com biography from both of them. I recommend you go over to aquariumradio.com and click on today's show and read that. But basically, both of them are in the secret space, or have been in the secret space program. And we're going to talk about what that is. It's now known as the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. And that's one of our questions we're going to ask each person, explain what does that mean. And Dr. Lessin, are you there? What would you like to say?
Yes,
to bring on both Penny and introduce them to you. Go ahead.
Something's happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I better beware. I say, stop, children. Let's listen to Penny and Daniel.
Right. So, we're just a bunch of old hippies, mad painter. We're all hippies. Yeah, we just go back. We're getting older and older and funnier and sillier as we age. Okay, we're fun though. Let's bring on Dan. Dan, I'd like you to first just say hi real quick, you and Penny, to each other. Dan Cooper meet Penny Bradley, and Penny Bradley meet Dan Cooper. Just say hi, and then Dan, I want you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Hey, how's it going, Penny?
Going all right. And you?
Good. About myself, well, these days I'm working on the technology, bringing out the technology. To me, the disclosure that's going to, let's see, the ICC, the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate people, they're a bunch of they're groups, they're different factions. And for a long time, they've been bent on a plan where they were going to sell off most of the human population that's on the surface for for technology. And they received the technology already, and then, of course, these different alien species that they sold us off to can't get to us. They can't deliver us, and they can't get to us. But they don't want us anyway. They want to clear us off the planet so they can replace us with their the colonists they have off planet, even in this solar system. So they're still the worst factions in the ICC are still bent on depopulating the planet of its surface beings. That's us. And I was always opposed to that, and I basically promised myself that when I came back from my 20 and back service in the with the ICC, the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, that I would commit myself to releasing the technology so that society could free itself from this group that's trying to destroy us. And that's what I've been working on now. It took me a long time to get to the point where I could sit down and work full-time on inventing and working on releasing the technology. That's what I'm doing now. Okay, Penny. Your turn.
My turn.
Penny, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to go back and forth.
Okay. I was in Nachtwaffen, the regular military for the German fleet in space. And I was a fighter pilot on Mars and a navigator on a freighter in one altar. The altars that I remember all did 60 and backs, and they were all pilots or navigators. There are a couple of altars that were kept on Earth, and they're not exactly nice people, so we're not going to talk about them. I recently had one of the navigator altars sent home, which has been a bit traumatic for me. Instead of using the usual process of mind wiping and then killing the clone she was in, her commanding officer decided that he wanted her to remember him, and so he killed her himself. And so she has full memory, and we're in the reintegration dance. So she's been back almost 3 weeks, and so I've had a tough holiday season.
Well, I think we need to flesh that out a little bit. So I'm left with a couple questions. So I want to address the altar thing, and then I want to go back and address what Dan was saying about killing off everybody on Earth surface. So first of all, can you explain to our listeners here a little bit more about? And Dan, are you familiar with altars as well? I guess you are, and that'll be another question when we back to you. But first question to Penny.
We didn't talk about my service in Darkfleet, because I'm more focused on what's going on now. But that doesn't mean we won't be talking about that.
Okay, so bookmark that. We're going to talk about. I better take notes. Talk about your service. So first, we're going to address. So you said you have an altar that was killed. So and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just kind of piecing this together. So there was something happened somewhere in space with your altar. And we need to know how many altars you have.
Well, what kind of Sanskara or program? What kind of Sanskara or program was left in that altar from being killed by her superior? What was the script that she carries?
Right, the script. And so then it came home, which you mean to your body. It came back to your body. Is that what you're saying? To your human form? Is that what you mean by returned home? Go ahead, Penny.
An altar that is in a cloned body is killed. The altar returns to the natural body. Yes, that would be me. That is the normal and usual pattern, yes.
All right.
I have alters because when I was 4 years old, I was kidnapped by the CIA and taken to Langley for 5 years. And the first year of that time, they were mind fracturing me. I have just under 2,200 alters total. And I have reintegrated 30 of them, and she would be number 32 because I have another one sitting in my head crying and rocking. So this is not a fun and games situation. This is deadly serious. They're only allowed to take you for however long they made you sign a contract for. And whenever your contract time is up, they have to send you back. Otherwise, they're in violation of galactic law. And that they can.
So you signed a physical contract? Was this on paper? Was this a virtual contract? What do you mean you signed a contract?
What they do is they kidnap you and they mind wipe you, and you are left this total blank person that you barely understand what they're talking to you about. And they say, "Oh, you're going to help us, aren't you?" Yes, yes, yes. Sign this. Perfect. So it's not informed consent. It's just they get your signature on a piece of paper, and you never see that paper again.
Wow.
Okay, Sasha, I had a question. Go ahead.
What I found in some of the people I'm working with is that it's not just that they have this huge number of alters, but that they're alters within alters. They're hidden down they're alters of the alters. I don't know if yours are organized in any fashion like that, and I'd like to hear.
Okay, they set them up into basically a computer array, which would have alters within an alter is a good description of a computer array. They set us up like we are wetware, which is the term for a biological computer. That's how they set us up, where they can go to such and such place and use the code that has been preset, and they will have the specific personality that they want for that specific job. And it has total security because it's under a password. And even the person whose alter it is cannot access it without the password. And that's how I remember is my password was used on me in 2013. So since then, the others have started leaking through, and I've been reintegrating them as they come up. But this one, I had been aware of her for almost 2 years, and she had been in the mercenary group Kruger at the beginning, and then she was recruited into Nachtwaffen, and she served out the rest of her time on a spy ship in Nachtwaffen as the navigator. And
let me just go one step to the script, because that's what's critical. The script was that I did not agree to this. I'm doing something that I did not agree to. Do I have you right, Penny? That was the first script for this alter.
That's been the first script for all of them, is that they are doing something that they did not agree to. Okay. That has been.
I want to bookmark right there. I want to bookmark right there and go back and forth, because I'm going to put your two experiences side by side so we can compare how they're doing this. So we're going to go into greater detail in just a few minutes here. I want to pull in Dan and his story, and then we'll go back and forth. Okay? So, Dan, how did you get involved in the 20 back? You've only done one 20 back, but what happened
Oh
that
yeah,
you'd
I
like to
only
draft
did,
into this?
I only did 20. You know, I'm not. They don't really let you. Well, in my group, you're not allowed really to talk to anybody, so you don't get to find out what other people are doing. You don't get to talk to scientists, so you don't find out anything about the science. Although you get to use the technology because they're the weapons you have to use, ships you have to travel in, so you have an idea of the technology, but you don't get to talk to the scientists, and you don't get to talk to the pilots or the navigators, or you don't talk to anybody. They're not allowed to talk to you either. The only people you talk to are the people in your own small group, and you're not even allowed to talk to any other combat group. And so you're very isolated from everything, and you're always in combat or training, and you're only training.
How
on your
did you
own.
get started?
Oh, you're talking
And
about
what happened at
the
your
very
start?
beginning. The very, very beginning is my group was genetically engineered specifically to be trained as sword fighters, specifically to engage in sword fighting competitions throughout the galaxy and the two adjoining galaxies against warrior races that was the only way we could communicate with them, is that we had to agree to ritual combat to the death or to the disability, whatever it was. But there's a lot of races that won't talk to anyone else except for fighters. Like Randy explained it, it's called a fight to the truth. They don't believe they won't talk to anybody that won't fight to the truth, which means if you won't fight with them, then you're not welcome. They won't even talk to you. You can't come to their realm. You can't travel through their space, and you certainly can't trade with them or get any technology from them. All of the things of which the ICC, the High Command, wanted were these things. They wanted to travel through their space. They wanted to trade with them. They wanted to get their technologies. They wanted to make allies with them in other combat engagements with other species. You're always looking for allies, especially warrior race allies. They're the baddest. So I was specifically engineered specifically for that one function, and that was to sword fight in ritual combat. That's what I was genetically engineered to do, and that was what I was trained to do in Japan and in the United States with the Japanese and Shaolin sword fighting.
How old were you when you started?
When you're genetically engineered, you're not any age. You're nothing. You're in a test tube.
Okay.
So the program started with the genetic engineering. What you're trying to think of is, so I'm trained from the time I could walk to the time I'm 17 and a half. At the age of 17 and a half, I was, this is how you know for sure you don't have a choice. At the age of 17 and a half, I was given a test. Everybody in the program, my part of the program, which is a very small part of the huge program, and everything is kept secret. Everybody's kept secret and away from everybody else. Compartmentalization is also compartmentalization in the combative groups, like myself. We don't get to learn what anybody else is doing. They don't get to learn what we're doing. And the only commanders know, and they don't talk to us. They just give us orders. Anyway, so 17 and a half, I was given a test and passed the test with flying colors. And when I got back to the base, Norton Air Force Base, the commander insisted that I be put to death because the technology is so great, meaning our specific genetically engineered group of fighters is so secret that they couldn't allow us to get out of the program. You're either killed or you go on in the program. And so he insisted, the four-star general in command, he told my Japanese instructor that as far as he was concerned, I failed the test. And my Japanese instructor said he passed the test better than anyone ever did it before. He said, well, he didn't do it the way we wanted it done. And they were actually 3 officers that were at the test itself who witnessed the test. But anyway, neither here nor there. The thing is that it became real clear that there is no out in the program. You go on or you're destroyed. There is no out. There was no contract to sign. That's what you wanted to know?
Well, how are you? Yeah, then we'll go back to Penny. How are you here then? Are you still in the program?
Oh, no. Once I finished my 20 back with the distinction, they were pretty much afraid. They were afraid to kill me because the warrior races that I had done combat with warned them not to kill me. They said, do that, and you can forget alliances with us. That's not going to happen. I mean, I engaged in a lot of combat tournaments and one-on-one competitions with a lot of warrior races that, because of my victories in those engagements, those races allied with the United States military. And those alliances would be destroyed if anything happened to me. And they made it really clear. They made it real clear. They said, anything happens to Cooper, you can forget about us. The only reason that we are allying with you is because of Mr. Cooper. Mm-hmm. See, and that's the way they were. They don't want anything to do with anything else but non-combatants, and they don't particularly appreciate the way the United States military treated its super soldiers. So they basically told them, you mess with these guys, and you can forget about us, because if that's the way you're going to treat your own people, then that's the way you're going to treat us. So we don't want to have anything to do with you, because you'll just stab us in the back. You're going to stab your own super soldiers in the back. You're going to stab us in the back in the middle of combat. You can't be trusted if you're going to kill your own. That's why I was allowed to be released back into society, except memory's wiped. Get it?
But they memory wipe you. Yeah. So, but you're now in your clone, right?
Yeah, they don't return the original. They don't. You only get cloned once. My group, there was only one clone, and that's the one you get returned in, because that's the dumbed down clone, the clone that has no advanced abilities due to 20 years of training. They don't return the original body because it's too powerful. Even if you wipe my memories, the ability to lift cars with your mind is just way too much power, and that is what I had at the end of my 20 and back. Was a highly kinetic and other psycho. No, what's it called? Kinetic. I had telekinesis powers. I had other powers. Probably the one particular power that they really were into in my group was the power to foretell, the power to see the future, the near future. Basically, the idea they want us to be able to tell what our opponent was going to do before they did it. And I was really good at that. And they don't want these powers coming back down to Earth. So they made a clone when I was 17 and a half, and then that's the clone I get returned in. I don't get my original body. It's too powerful.
Your original body does it still exist?
No, that one got destroyed.
So if you could, Daniel, if you could sort of put the whole inner meaning together of you have been chosen as an ambassador of these warrior races whose interest in having a relationship with us, they see us as using the technology you're giving as helping us be worthy of their attention, something like that.
Well, no, you got to rephrase that, Sasha.
How would it go?
No, rephrase what you're asking.
Okay, so why they've chosen you to protect and the mission that they have for you, that they entrust with you with, seems to be with sharing the energy devices with Earthlings.
Oh no! I knew. No, you're thinking about the current technologies that I'm inventing.
Yeah.
No, the only reason I'm allowed to invent those devices is because the warrior races that the United States have alliances with said that you can't touch Cooper, you can't touch any of the super soldiers, because if you stab your own super soldiers in the back, then we can't trust you, because then you'll just stab us in the back. So I have an immunity that came from the alliances that we made with those warrior races. With that immunity, I can go on and invent, and no one can touch me.
Oh, I got it. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll ask this, and then we'll go back to Penny. So how is this going to stop them from taking everybody off the planet and selling us as slaves?
Because the procedure for wiping off the planet was to, basically cause global warming, which is, 99% of all the 99% of all the combustion of fossil fuels, 99% of it is CO2. It's poison. They're poisoning the planet. They've been poisoning the planet on purpose. They decide to poison the planet specifically to get rid of us all. That was the design. Right. So if you stop them from combusting fossil fuels, which is pretty easy to do, you just have to, change out the engines for magnetic energy powered engines. It's really easy to do. It's just they won't do it because they're still on board with they're trying to destroy everybody on this planet. They're still trying to gas everybody to death. The Nazis, they really like their gas chambers. Right. That's their favorite way of getting rid of the population, and that's what burning fossil fuels is all about. It's designed to kill you. And when they've had the technology to not do that for 130 years.
So they're still trying to kill us.
Yep.
And okay, we'll bookmark that. They're still trying to kill us. So let's go back to Penny's. What I'm trying to do is connect the dots, and I want to see where you have similar shared experiences. So
well,
Danny,
if she was a Darkfleet pilot, although I was on a cruiser, I don't know if she flew cruiser, she flew fighter pilot. But if she was flying with the Darkfleet, it's a Darkfleet group. We had motherships, we had cruisers, we had destroyers. They call them all the Navy, give them all the Navy names. We had a lot of fighter groups in with each one of these larger vessels. There's no reason why she couldn't have also served in the same places I served. These are battle groups. I was a foot soldier, and also I was a specialist. My specialty was tournaments and one-on-one competitions with the sword. It was a very, very specific kind of specialist. But I also did engagements with small groups and small fire weapons on the ground, insurgency operations, where we'd go in and take out a cannon or a complex. We'd secret our way in and go out and take them out, and then be extracted. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so you're like Randy Russ Kellett. He goes to these battles. General Hendricks, what's his name? There's several of them. Penny, are you part of a combat thing? Do you fly the troops? When you were flying, or what were you involved in? Any of the combat? Were you a fighter?
I was not a ground thumper.
That's right. Okay. She fought. She's a fighter pilot.
I was a fighter pilot on Mars, and the rest of my service in space, I have been a navigator, which means that I'm chipped into the computer and have access to everything on the computer, and that I become an extension of the computer in order for my psionic abilities to take the entire ship into interdimensional status, take us where we're going to go, and put us there without anyone being in a bulkhead. It's
good job.
And I have alters who are powerful enough that they can take the entire armada with me instead of just doing the ship I'm on.
We traveled in battle groups, the armadas.
Yes. I have several we've been working on a mission since November 5th, and they have pulled me every night for a 60 and back for this mission, and I don't know if it's multiple alters or the same one, but I do know that I'm on the battleship that's run by the SS officers, and I am taking the entire armada back in time to rescue a planet that was destroyed in a battle. And we're having a hard time because we don't have enough ships to rescue the population, and we're losing people. So it's been emotionally disturbing, and that's been an ongoing mission. So
Do you know about the planet? Is it the one between Jupiter and Mars? Do you have a locale of some kind?
It's somewhere out in the Sagittarius arm of the galaxy. I'm not sure the location. That part has been mind wiped. But I do know that we were in a battle with the Guardians and that we lost, and that we have been using time travel to recover our people who were otherwise killed. And it's been a long-term situation, and to have Starbuck sent home, that was my name for her. She was officially Lieutenant Penelope Bradley, second lieutenant, I should say. She had actually gotten up to Commander in Kruger, but she ended up punching her commanding officer in the face and got demoted back to Shaved Tail, and she worked her way back to second lieutenant. But
wow.
I have a question.
I'm not a nice person in space. I hope you guys have understood that. We're not Nazis. We are Das Bundes, the Federation. And we are the bosses in space of all of the human efforts. And the ICC is a fake name for planetary corporations. And they are the cabal in space. And they are not part of us. They are what we went into space to get away from. We are not Nazis. We are a Teutonic warrior society, but we are not Nazis. Nazi was a political party in Germany during the war. And there's so much, pardon my cussing, but there's so much bullshit out there about the Germans in space that I really get mad. They're just people.
We're just trying to straighten it all out. Nobody's got the comprehensive story, and there's different factions everywhere, and we're piecing it together.
The question is, are these people engaging in murder, kidnapping, and slavery, or not? You know, I don't give it. You know,
all of them out there are engaging in it. Every faction out there is engaging in murder and slavery, and all of the people serving out there have been genetically engineered before they were born, and have been mind fractured, and have been forced to sign papers whether they remember it or not, because the Galactic Authority requires it.
Okay, so let's go. Let me just ask a question, then we'll go back to Dan, and let's see. We're doing good on time. So I'm part of this too, but my role is not as clear as what you're getting. In fact, I seem to be working with another faction that is, above it or outside of this matrix or this 3D paradigm of all this war games. And I was clearly shown these, they were like live vessels that could rescue entire populations, and they looked like jellyfish, like extremely large jellyfish. And I've seen photos of them, and I've seen movies of them. Have either of you ever encountered, they're called the planet rescuers, the jellyfish beings? Have you, either of you heard of them or encountered them?
I have encountered a jellyfish-shaped entity being that lives in space and feeds off the ion plasmas that make up space. But they're not...
And they're planet size.
Yes.
The ones I'm talking about are planet size, yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
They're not sentient beings. They're just animals, like jellyfish in the ocean.
Okay, well, the ones I encountered might be a variation of the theme, and the ones that I encountered were conscious. But, we have all kinds of sizes of humanoids and, monkeys and variations and chimps, and then we have mammals and all that stuff. So What were you going to say, Sasha?
You know, I've talked about the animals in space before. Remember the interviews we did last year? I talked about part of my job as navigator was to keep those things, the critters in space, off the ship. The jellyfish are one category of those critters.
Right. Go ahead, Sash. What's your question?
Okay. Well, Penny, I can't remember who the informant was at one point that, but saying, Dan, I think it was even mentioning that sphere beings had plugged up the ability of people to enter and leave, and that the terrible things that have been done, the criminal acts against Earthlings, would somehow be contained, and those who are perpetrating them would be in some way forced to own up to their what they'd done. And I just wonder if the sphere beings seem to be a group of 5. Can you tell us a little bit about what your info is on that?
Dan.
My info is from the Council of 5, which is the Galactic Authority, which is the Earth Council, which is the de facto Galactic Police. And they have sent their military branch, the real Guardians, to send humanity back into the solar system. But at this point, there are no blocks because they couldn't come home if there were. So you've got all of these colonists that are out through the entire arm of the galaxy. And this is the Sagittarius arm of the galaxy. We have colonies all the way to the rim. And all of these people are being sent home. And whoever doesn't fit into the solar system will be allowed to spill over into the Sirius system. So this is where the new playpen for humanity is going to be. And the Council of 5 will be holding trials of their own. I don't know if humanity will get to play a part or not. But yes, the perps will be held accountable by the Council of 5.
Wait. I'm going to pull Dan in and have a little conversation there, and then I've got some questions. So, let's go round table here. Dan, your turn.
You want to know about the outer barrier the spear beings put up?
What's your information? Yeah, what's your information?
Yeah. The spear beings put up the outer barrier in December of 2014. They put up a barrier around our planet and a separate barrier around the solar system. They removed the barrier around our planet. The barrier around the solar system, they allow communication through it. At one point, there was no communication through it, so then they allowed communication through it, which means we can communicate with all of our colonies. Command in this solar system, command of all of those colonies that we have throughout this galaxy and the next. We have a lot of colonies, and those colonies and bases, we can communicate with them now. We couldn't communicate when the barrier first went up, the outer barrier that the spirit beings put up. And then, and they also can allow people to go through. They can allow people to go in or out, but it's up to them who goes through. They have to actually petition and request to go through. They basically don't allow people to go through in or out that won't submit to trial. They won't submit to being tried by them. So basically what happens is that people who committed crimes don't request to go through because they know what will happen if they submit to trial. When you submit to trial, you're submitting to sanction, which means if you're found guilty, then you have to accept the sanction of the spirit beings. So the spirit beings aren't forcing trial on people. They're basically saying if you want to get through the barrier, you have to submit to trial before we'll let you go through the barrier. And that's why the people who committed the crimes won't submit to trial, which means they can't go through the barrier because they won't even petition because they know what happens if they go to trial. The spirit beings may impose trial at one point, but I don't know. I was told in 1985 that they were going to impose trial, but I haven't seen that yet. Anyway, go ahead.
So are you two talking about the same? So let's maybe break that. I'm trying to unpack things. So Penny, you're saying people were being sent back, and so this whole trial and who's the, going to be on trial, what they're trying for. Wait, broke up. Wait, can't hear you. Start again. Go ahead.
We're talking about different things.
Okay.
I have never once encountered a sphere being, and I have been in and out of this solar system at least twice a night since November 5th. My testimony is there's no such thing.
All right. And Dan, have you encountered the sphere beings?
Personally,
I spoke with them in '85. I don't travel outside of the solar system. I don't travel off the planet. I'm not with the secret space program.
Right, it's fine. But you did contact them.
And now I'm doing more time. So I'm one of those not allowed to retire.
Okay. And I've never met the birds that are blue, but I have seen the bird creatures that are more natural colors, but they're definitely bipedal, dressed as warriors. I've seen them extensively. So have you seen any beings that look like the bird beings?
I have not encountered avians. I have encountered blue human-looking people. That would be both Arcturians and the Anunnaki.
So the Anunnaki are blue, or do they have a blue race, a blue skin color in their species?
The Anunnaki are, the ones that I encountered are from 7 to 10 feet tall, and they look like albino Vikings dressed in Sumerian robes, and they have either a blue or a green tint to their skin because they eat too much ormus. And like people who use colloidal silver turn blue, that's what's happened to them.
Oh, okay.
They tend to
let's talk about all the species, yeah.
They tend to have bunny eyes, as in the red color, or bright blue, or green, or a gold color. And I'm not talking a brown, amber, I'm talking gold, and like the metal. And those are the eye colors, and their hair is either white or a very pale blonde. That's right. The Anunnaki that I have encountered that were still in physical being form. But I've not ever encountered a blue avian or a golden triangle head being or a sphere being. None of them.
Okay, let's go over species. What beings, let's go back to Dan. What beings have you encountered? Back to Penny. What did they look like, the beings that you encountered, Dan?
Oh, I only have a few memories.
Who did you find?
I only have a few memories. I'm not one of those people who are giving all their memories back. I only have a few memories. I remember dog soldiers. I remember different reptilians. I remember the Draco. Because they were the commanders that were also commanding my unit. And I remember combatants, humanoids, different sizes, aquatics. They're cool. But I don't really remember any bird species, though. Avians, insectoids. I remember insectoids. I remember reptilians. I remember humanoids. Why?
Oh, we're just going over the species.
So I want to
encountered the bird.
Go ahead. Dog soldiers were cool. They're fun. I mean, real dogs.
What do they look like?
Randy talked about the dogs.
Dogs? Gosh, more like some have coyote kind of faces, and some have wolf-like faces. You know, they're dog faces with tails and
how
hair.
do they manipulate their weapons?
No, they're standing.
They walk.
They're standing. They're evolved. It's an evolved dog. It's not they're not running on four legs. They can run on four legs very quickly, but most of them stand and will fight with their hands, with weapons in their hands.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Have
how
their
big are
hands
they?
Changed? Yeah, how tall are they?
Oh, gosh, the ones that I remember fighting were about the same size. We ran across bigger ones. Yeah, they can get big. I can't think in feet, you know. I'd have to really.
They were bigger than you, or the same size.
The ones that were the meanest were the same size as us.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you know, I think that smaller is, in a lot of cases, smaller is faster and more dangerous. Yeah. So, but anyway.
Okay. We're just getting an idea of what species you've... Now, I've encountered, you know, the reptilians and the mantis. I don't know if you guys have encountered mantis. When I was...
Yes.
I went back to Nibiru. That's where I saw bird beings, and they were, you know, bipedal, and they had some kind of hands that were functioning and holding rods or spears or something. It was some kind of weapon they were holding. And they were the guards, and so they had armor, and so I saw them. I was just, you know, looking at them in shock. They were all lined up, you know, in this ritual thing. So, anyway, Penny, you've served on the different bases. What different species, beings did you encounter that were kind of bipedal and within the range of somebody you could serve alongside with?
Well,
or
I
be
was
interacting with.
I was DNA modified to live among Draco. So I have seen, worked with, worked beside 3 of the races of Draco. I've interacted with dragons. I've interacted with Siakar. I've interacted with Naga. And with a...
What's Siakar?
Siakar are snakes with wings, and they are about 50 feet long, and they are just absolutely huge. And they are extremely intelligent, extremely wise. They're spiritual beings, beyond anything that I've seen on Earth. They do have a nasty temper.
Wow, you know, it sounds like the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland. Are they like that?
The caterpillar didn't have wings, but it was wise, yeah.
They're if they like you, they will share their wisdom with you. If they don't, you might be lunch. They're very fierce. When I was at Stargate with y'all, I mentioned that the Siakar were a very wise and holy race, and Randy Kramer said, and aggressive, and aggressive, and aggressive. So we know that he pissed them off.
Oh, okay.
So,
Randy's hilarious.
Randy and I got along really, really well, especially after I told him what happened to my commander that ordered his Battle of the Blender on Mars. He was extremely grateful to know that the person who had ordered that was punished. So, for the audience, My commander had ordered it, and it was right after we had signed the treaty ending the Mars War. And one of the Alpha Dracos that are actually our allies, and we were on their property at that point, came in and read my commander the riot act and gave him a total dressing down in both German and Draco. And part of it was verbal and part of it was telepathic. And when you're around an Alpha Draco, if they're being telepathic, you hear it all. It's full intimacy. You get every thought that's in their head, every thought that's been in their head their entire lives, all comes out at you at once, and they pull the same thing from you, which feels like your mind is coming out through your eyeballs.
Yeah, I've had that.
So, yeah, I was modified to live with that. So we're standing at attention or close to it for 45 minutes while he's reading our commander the riot act, and we're all hearing every detail of it, full intimacy in our brains. And the Drac gets through and takes his claws and guts our commander and then leaves. So we took the commander and dumped him into the regeneration tank, and he came out a much more humble person. But the gist of the dressing down was that the commander had no honor because he signed the treaty himself. He was representing the Germans who had signed the treaty, and he was representing the Draco who had signed the treaty, and that he had no honor. Now, for Draco, that is the worst possible thing you can be, is a sentient being with no honor. And the Draco was calling him a Racha. A Racha is, well, in Hebrew it means fool, but in Drac it means someone who is so stupid, so lacking in honor or common sense that they are only good to be a slave. This is what the Drac was calling my commander before he killed him, as his judgment was that this man was unfit to serve in any capacity.
Right.
And when I told Randy about it, he said, I'm pissed that I wasn't able to do it myself. But yes, thank you for telling me that he did get punished.
Now, Dan, did they have rejuvenation tanks for your people?
Oh yeah, we were well taken care of.
Like they were
Always
killed,
on
were they
ship,
rejuvenated?
on ship. Everything we did was on ship, on the cruiser.
Right.
I mean, we were very valuable to them. Oh yeah, they took care of every injury, constantly examined us, for any medical problems, and oh yeah, we were very precious to them. My specific specialty was highly prized.
So were you ever in? And we're running out. We have 3 minutes, and then we'll pick up the rest of it after the top of the hour. Were you ever in a rejuvenation tank, and for what injuries? What happened?
You get cut a lot when you're in when you're fighting, when you're doing combat with swords. You get cut. Uh-huh. You might lose an arm. I fought with 2 swords, so I was always able to fight with both hands, because you can lose one. It's easy to lose one. You can get cut on the shoulder, or you can actually get a dismember. The swords are they're laser swords, so they cut very, very sharply and very quickly. But you can't stop you don't stop the engagement until you can't fight anymore, and then you're taken out of the engagement and then rejuvenated. Your limbs are all restored. So you're not really concerned about losing a limb. but you are concerned about losing the fight. Because the fight
and if you die, if you lose the fight
is important. Winning the fight is important to the United States. That was very important to the United States. Winning the fight. We didn't care about losing limbs; they could be replaced.
So you're representing the United States or the Earth, or both?
I was U.S. Air Force. I was with a it's a German contingent. They were Nazis. The two specific, they were ex-Nazis. Like Penny said, that all changed. The Germans changed. They changed dramatically when they got out in space. They weren't the same. They didn't act the same or do the same things anymore. But that's where it all started from. I had two specific ex-Nazis who trained me. Their names were Hans and Werner. I forgot their last names. I knew them when I was 17. I engaged in water polo with them in international tournaments with the New York Athletic Club when I was 16. Hans and Werner were on the team. We won every international water polo tournament we played. This is real. Go back and check.
All right, we're going to pause right here, and we'll be back after this commercial break in about 5 minutes.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
You need some more speed records in this day and age. You need coverage.
Coverage? Oh, you mean them little root weevils that crawl around popping off cameras in your face?
Those root weevils write history.
Many of you know that quote by Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth. Well, you can, and Event Horizons will give you those truths. So when you're mad as hell and not going to take it anymore from that memorable senior network, you'll know just what to do. We will draw you in and become your news addiction at Event Horizons. Join us Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time at freedomslips.com. Revolution Radio. Our world team members are Dennis Fetcho, John Ilias, David Dunger, Hyla Cass, MD, Melanie Bridgeton, Jim Mars, Paula Harris, John Trallo, Maria Payan, Christopher Husser, DODDS, Jonathan Orchard, and me, your anchor, Dr. Robin Falco.
If you decide not to volunteer, it will not be held against you in any way.
Sounds dangerous.
It is. Very dangerous.
Count me in.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps. Is your data safe? Do you have the necessary information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation? Is survival and gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns? Do you have your documents and your personal information in a safe place in your hands where you know where it is? Well, check out our preloaded EMP-proof thumb drive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus the USDA offline food preservation website, and much, much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about here. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or a computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hands? So when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it. I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? Well, squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
In breaking news, a visiting Syrian diplomat reported today that their population is evolving rapidly and advancing into a fifth-dimensional consciousness. They are seeking peace with all cosmic cultures, which may mean that the Earth will be asked to join the prestigious Galactic Federation of Light Alliances. Please join Debbie West and Michael Hathaway on Lost Knowledge, Saturdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Studio A, for the latest breaking news on the Star Visitors' peaceful contact and the ongoing project of cleansing the Earth.
This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning! Warning!
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all! See how the trouble you've started? Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it. Right, you tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Revolution Radio!
Join Revolution Radio every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio B for Momentary Zen with host Zen Garcia at freedomslips.com, the People Station.
Do you or someone you know suffer from poor circulation, shortness of breath, or chest pains? Are you looking for a more natural solution to help overcome these problems? People tell us that after just a few months taking Extendivite, their doctors have noticed unexplainable improvements in their overall health. For more information, visit heartdrop.com or call 1-877-928-8822.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
And tell them Nighthawk sent you, because if you call this number and tell them Nighthawk sent you, you'll get $5 off your first order at extendivite.com. Thank you. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Aloha and welcome back to the Sacred Matrix on Revolution Radio. And I'm Janet Kara Lesson with Dr. Sasha Alex Lesson, your co-host, and Mad Painter Thomas Becker is our producer, and our guests are Penny Bradley and Dan Cooper. Before we get back to our show, I'd like to remind everybody to please go over to that donation button and make a donation. And we really appreciate your donations. That keeps us on air. And Thomas Becker, this is our last couple days of the year. How are we doing? Do we make our quota? How much more do we need?
We're just shy of $200 of making the goal, and I sure hope we could start out the new year on a fresh leaf.
That'd be great. So please, please go out and dig in and donate and make this a happy new year for all of us here at Revolution Radio. Okay, during the break, we were talking about technology, and I couldn't begin to describe what I was on, but I was on all kinds of craft and trying to piece that together. A lot of times I didn't see what it looked like from the outside because I was just inside. So maybe there's some hints that you guys could give the world about technology. But Dr. Lesson, you were addressing this global warming issue, and I said, let's save this for the air. Can you ask your question again of the group here, and we can address this again?
Well, the point is, as I listened, especially to you, Daniel, I got a very positive feeling that if we had the information that is really available to sources above our recognized government, if we had that information and we were allowed to deal with it with our genius and our resources and technology, we could solve it even if there was disturbances from space or things to clean up on the planet. And that's what I got. Did I hear you right?
Yes, that's right. What you were saying was that there are two causes of global warming that are being presented. One being that it's locally caused from the combustion of fossil fuels and other ozone removing gases, and then the other one is that it's actually a natural phenomenon that's being experienced all throughout the solar system.
Right.
And in either case, the withholding of technology will destroy humanity. So I don't care how you believe it's caused. If you're withholding the technology to save humanity from it, you're trying to kill humanity. That's genocide. That's mass murder. Withholding the technology is mass murder.
What about like Planet X?
Like the cigarette companies that know damn well that the tobacco is going to kill you, but they don't tell everybody so they can keep selling cigarettes.
No, I mean they're withholding all the free energy technologies. All that technology has been suppressed. They're intentionally withholding it. They won't allow it to be manufactured.
One of the theories says that everything's warming up because Nibiru's coming through, which Nibiru is Planet X. What do either of you or both of you know about Planet X, Nibiru, and is any of that true?
I know a lot about it. Go ahead, but let Penny go ahead and tell you.
Okay, Penny, what do you know about Planet X, Nibiru? And is that part of the warming of the inner solar system?
My understanding of that is that Nibiru is not actually due for another 200 years.
Okay, so then that's not the factor of the Earth changes.
Not to my understanding, no. I hear a lot of things from a lot of people on Earth that seem to think that it's in the inner solar system already, and I heard from a team that did work with the Labyrinth group, and they said that they moved it where that it'll never be a threat again. But, you know, as far as what I know from being a navigator, it's still not even into the planets that we know. It's still out there a long way.
Well, what A.R. Borden reported in the Linkage Institute in the group, the A.R. Borden group, is that there was a meeting in I think it was in 2011, about 2012, and the Bureau was going to come in some kind of course that was going to make all these pole shifts and cataclysmic events, and so they decided to do a time phase shift, and they shifted the Bureau, shifted the Earth out of place, and we didn't even notice it because they just did it, and then we're back in a safe, corrected course, so we won't be interacting with each other. But so the pictures that people were getting of the two suns and these things they're capturing in the skies, it's actually Nibiru heading out of the solar system. That was one theory. Yes, go ahead.
I have interaction with Mike and Joshua and Karen and that whole team. We're friends on Facebook, and the gist of what they have all come up with when it was discussed in the secret SSP group was that they had moved Nibiru rather than Earth, and that it was no longer in an orbit that would intersect with us. So that
we have to reread the meeting, the minutes meetings. There was the minutes of a meeting, which to me it was that they shifted the Earth out of the way. But anyway, there was some kind of shifting happened that they weren't going to collide to each other.
These were the words. These were the words that Michael Lee Hill used in the SSP group, was that they moved Nibiru where it would no longer be a threat. So I figured since he was just moving. That since he was on the team that did it, he would know.
Okay. All right. I don't remember exactly. I have to reread the notes, and I read it in 2012, so it was a long time ago. I don't have that great of a memory. Okay. Where were we? We were talking about...
You were going to ask about Nibiru.
Yeah, let Daniel weigh in.
Okay, so
go ahead, weigh in.
The National Security Agency was all over me in 2014 because I started to invent free energy generators. And they had assigned an agent to me who I was actually working with pretty closely, and he'd also introduced me to the head of the NSA. So I'm pretty sure these guys were real NSA agents, and he has a long history with engineering with various big companies in the United States. So he was a real person and a real agent. And he asked me. He said, "Well, Nibiru's approaching our solar system. What do you think?" And I said, "I don't know. I said, what do you want me to tell you?" And he said, "Well, is it going to, cause a lot of damage on Earth?" And I said, "I don't know. Let me, meditate on it and think about it." And so I did. And then a thought came to me. Just a theory came to me that that there are planets that can phase change. If you know anything about the sixth force is the force that was discovered by Nikola Tesla in the late 1800s, and that he developed the first Warp 1 engine the first Warp 1 spaceship in 1929 using the sixth force of energy. Boyd Bushman has benched the sixth force for you. Lockheed Martin has released that information. Anyway, the sixth force also allows phase shifting, as you guys are familiar with the Philadelphia experiment, where we phase shifted that ship. What was the name of that ship? Anyway, they phase shifted that ship, and that's what they were trying to do.
Philadelphia.
That was it. That was no. It wasn't Philadelphia. But go ahead. I'll think it.
It's called the Philadelphia experiment. But anyway, so they phase shifted that ship, and remember the photographs were originally on the internet, but then they removed them all. They had actually phase shifted that ship using the sixth force. Those are what the three Tesla coils, one on each end of the bow and one in the center of four, and then the deck has got those big sheets of aluminum, big thick sheets of aluminum on it. That was meant to release the sixth force all around the ship, and then the ship phase shifted, also lifted out of the water, and phase shifted out of phase, so it would become invisible, and it did, and it worked. and it was one of the first phase shifting experiments. Nikola Tesla had been doing phase shifting in the 1800s, and he used phase shifting and also transport. He also designed the first transporter in 1901, where he transported a gorilla. Anyway, so the sixth force, there are planets, and then of course there's the theory that planets are alive, and that there are some planets that actually phase shift themselves to defend themselves, especially the ones that are wild, like Nibiru, meaning in a wild orbit.
Right.
So those planets are very special, and they actually when they get into a dangerous situation, they phase shift. So they don't collide with planets; they phase shift, and then when they're out of that danger, then they phase shift back. And that was my theory on Nibiru, and Nibiru is now passing out of our solar system. So my theory was correct, and the NSA did come back to me and say, "Wow, you were right."
Okay. And I'm on the writing today on board, and I'm trying to find the meeting notes. I can't find them right now. I'll have to ask Karen. I know Karen very well too.
You remember they did that? They did that in one of the Star Trek series. Remember that planet?
They did. They did.
Yeah. They did that with a planet phase shift. There are planets that actually phase shift.
And that's why I use the term phase shifting. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll find that. I'll report later.
I wonder, like, if A.R. Borden phase shifted, people can do that too. Then probably.
Well, with no, we have phase shifting. The Philadelphia experiment was the beginning of it. We have and of course we've met species that have advanced phase shifting technology where you can phase shift and walk through a wall. Right. With the technology on you. You push a button on it's a handheld device. You push a button and you phase shift and you walk through a wall, and nobody can see you. So it's real technology. It's real technology. What I'm trying to tell you is that there are planets that can do it. And that's what I told them. I said, I think Nibiru was a phase shifting planet, that it'll phase shift. And it did.
That's Occam's razor. That explains stuff way better than anything I've ever heard.
And he said he wanted, these guys are mathematicians, he wanted my mathematical proof of the theory. And I said, well, out of the number of planets that could potentially collide with each other, how many have collided? And I gave him the mathematics behind it. And I said, so there has to be something going on where they're protecting themselves. I said, like you said, right. You can't have that many planets crashing into each other. The whole universe would be destroyed over the amount of years it's been around. So there's got to be something else going on. That's what I said. I said mathematically it doesn't make any sense. Some planets have to be able to phase shift, especially the ones in the weird orbits.
Go
ahead, chime in.
In the German fleet, in navigation, they taught us that planets, asteroids, comets, stars all have a polarity, and that the planet's polarity will cause them to repel each other. So, example, if Venus, which has a very positive charge, decided to pass by Mars a little too close, since Mars has a very negative charge, that they would have this basically a mass exchange of the particles of the like polarity jumping. But that if they were polar flipped, where that it was the positive with the positive, that they would repel each other. It has to do with, they taught electric universe to navigators. Mm-hmm. So it's a totally different type of physics, and that's why it's happening. And yes, the planets are sentient and able to control this on their own, but it's still a matter of strict math physics that the polarity is far more important than the gravity.
Yeah, this NSA agent, he was really onto this electric universe thing. Oh, you really got to understand wormholes, Dan, and you really got to understand the sun is electric, and it's not, this plasma hydrogen ball everybody claims it to be. It's an electric reaction, and it's electricity. And he says, really got. I said, why do I got to understand that? He says, oh, you got to understand.
There's
wormholes.
a huge Stargate inside it.
Right, correct. I was just trying to give you a little bit more background on what Penny was saying, the electric universe, and they really wanted me to grasp it. I said, why do I need to grasp it? I'm just working on free energy generators. Oh, no, you need to really understand wormholes. I go, why? What am I going to have to do with wormholes?
Because your free energy device can open a wormhole.
Right. They didn't say that. They didn't say that. They said that they said too much power. I said, I'm not making ones that are too powerful.
The larger ones open wormholes.
Yes.
And they really don't want wormholes opened on the planet's surface.
Right. But the smaller ones are just fine.
The thing that my friends that have tried to do this have been up against is if something overlaps with secret black ops tech more than 85%, then the NSA comes and gets it and claims it as national security. And if they don't turn the device and their papers over, then they get executed. So how are you avoiding this?
Well, one, I can't be executed because of who I am, and they know that, and they've agreed to that. The NSA agreed to that. They said, yeah, we know. And number two, I talked with them. I said, well, what is going to be allowed? And we talked. And they said, well, yeah, we do. We are releasing free energy devices. Just nobody's really in agreement as to what level, because none of our scientists worked out the lesser technologies. Magnetic energy and electric energy are considered lesser technologies. People involved in the U.S. military have been involved in 6th Force and 7th Force technologies for some time, and they don't have anything other than military grade stuff that works with electricity or magnetic energy, and so it has to be redesigned, redeveloped, and I'm on the cutting edge of that, and so it's basically they want to see my designs, and we talk about it, and how's it going to be released. They're really having a tough time with China. They don't want China to own the transition technologies. So we're working on all that right now. Actually, we're working on all those discussions and debates, and nobody's threatening to kill me. And everybody wants to talk about, And,
so how are you different from Tom Bearden?
Tom Bearden? That particular device is not very mathematically correct. It had a lot of mathematical problems. Why?
I'm just wondering how you're different from him, because I know he has patents on his work.
Yeah, I've read his stuff.
I know people that are operating from derivatives of his stuff.
Yeah, no, it's a valid theory, but that it has that particular. All of his patents have particular flaws. Not that they can't be fixed. I fixed them all, so I know they can be fixed. But yeah, I'm working with solid state magnetic energy powered generators, motors, and engines. And then you're talking about a solid state magnetic energy powered generator, and it's basically that's the basic theory. That basic theory is correct, but it had a couple major flaws that I fixed. No big deal. Well, I mean, like what?
What are the flaws?
Oh, his particular flaws. Oh, that's very physics oriented. You'd have to have a higher level of electronics understanding, but
excuse me, I was a navigator, and I have.
I believe that. I believe that, but the audience is not that up on the mathematics or the electronics. He had mutual induction problems, which caused inconsistencies in the output, and that he couldn't really fix. But that's okay. Basically it worked. It's just not nearly as good as mine. Not nearly as powerful either. Mine are much more powerful. He just did a 1-to-1 derivative where what he was generating, he was only generating. I can explain it. He was doing a direct harvesting of what he was generating, and mine is relayed. and so I have a 10-to-1 advantage over what he was doing, which makes mine thousands of times more powerful. Plus, I amplify the result. That's what makes mine thousands of times more powerful than his. But, anyway. But it was nice, It's just that the United States wasn't ready to release that at the time, and I don't know his personal story about how he went about to try to get the technology released. I have no idea, what he did. I never talked to Tom. I reviewed some of his work, and it was good work. It's just not very reliable. Needed more work, and I worked on it. I took his information and many other scientists who had filed patents, Flynn and Wayno and Annis, Eberly. There was just a number of people who filed patents in this particular area, and they all had a lot of flaws that I fixed. But it's more than that. You have to really, you do have to negotiate with the United States government. They do have to approve it, the release. So that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. You have to be willing to.
I've got a friend who is not public who is working on the negotiation because he's built a warp drive.
I don't know if they're going to release that, but it's kind of cool, if they're going to release.
They haven't arrested him yet, and they haven't raided his house yet. Yeah. So he's still talking to them, but that's why he has turned down interviews, is because he's still talking to them.
I had a couple of kids just yesterday, and when I mean kids, we're talking about math geniuses. A couple of kids just yesterday asked me to teach them warp drive physics, and I said, as long as you got permission from the United States government, yeah, sure. I'll be your tutor.
That thing about how they might assassinate you. Preston Nichols talks about how he got zapped while he was in an intersection by a man in black who was waiting for him, and he wound up in a hospital. The car crashed. He got shot.
Yeah, but those were people that were told, they were given a secrecy order by the United States not to disclose, and they violated the secrecy order. See, I'm not like that. If I get a secrecy order, I take them to court. Oh, did I neglect to tell you I practiced law for 20 years before I became a physicist? Oh, I guess I shouldn't have neglected that part. They're very frightened of me in court, so they won't issue a secrecy order. And my attorney, I work with an attorney, also a genius attorney. He basically was the one that took their calls, and they said, "Oh, secrecy order," and he laughed at him. He said, "Yeah, right. Good luck with that, boys. You'll lose that in court, right?"
Oh, wow.
Well, if they've got a secrecy order on me, they've never enforced it, but they have shot me 10 times with energy weapons in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, they're pretty freaked out about me because of my service in the program as a Dark Fleet super soldier. They don't want to lose the allies that I got for them, so they don't do that stuff to me. With me, they actually have to issue a secrecy order, and they have to go through the court process because I will challenge it.
I found a reference to Nibiru coming through, and the idea was to create a tunnel through which an object could perform an action, move, or change shape, for example, while appearing as though it was doing nothing at all. So the intent was to see if the entire planet could be phase shifted into a parallel time line to a timeline position after the passage, while preserving configurations of So this is not unlike the effect achieved in the Philadelphia port object translation.
Oh, see, now my theory is coming out, but you have to understand, I didn't give that theory after it happened. I gave that theory before it happened.
When did you give that theory? It was
I gave that theory to the NSA officer who was basically interviewing me. And
what year?
Oh, that was 2015, 2016, 2015 and 2016.
This came out in the January 2011 briefing of the 13th annual gathering of the Link Association, which had city members of the Link came from the various planets and star systems. There were.
Oh no! What year was that?
Humanoids.
2011.
So someone did that, but they didn't publish the theory. That's interesting.
It was published.
Yeah, no, I never read it, and they didn't present that to me. They asked me what my theory was. I gave them my theory.
Right.
Well,
so
the process that was used is the process that we use in navigation in Nachtwaffen. You go in and you actually move into a parallel dimension and step back into 3D space at the point and time that you wish to be. And it's exactly the same theory behind it. That's how our interdimensional warp drive works. It requires the technology and the psychic ability of the navigator working together. That was why the Enbridge, I believe, was the name of the ship.
Eldridge.
Eldridge.
Yeah, USS Eldridge. Yeah.
That's why they had so many people stuck in the bulkheads. Was they did not have a navigator to prevent that.
Well, they didn't know lots of stuff. They were experimenting with those poor soldiers.
Well,
sailors. They were experimenting with those poor sailors.
People like me were the solution.
Yeah.
So let's talk more about the technologies that can come from this. So what we've learned from interviewing people in the whatever you call it, secret space program, whatever, interplanetary corporate conglomerate. What is it called? That's another question. But anyway, whatever they call
Das
it.
Bundes.
You know what to call it? How?
Das Bundes.
I'm not going to remember that. Okay, something English. But
give her the English. Penny, what's the English for that?
What's
the
English?
Federation.
Yeah.
The Federation.
Federation.
That's the actual name of the Germans in space.
Right.
The Federation.
The Federation.
They call themselves
the Federation. So the Federation, and I've interacted with the Federation all my life. That's what they said. You're interacting with the Federation. But it's some kind of, they call it the Federation of Planets, Love, and Light. And I go, really? The Federation of Planets, Love, and Light? And they go, yes. That's what Star Wars is called. So I said, it's kind of corny. And they go, that's the name.
And you're not dealing with the humans out there. The humans.
Well, I'm not humans. What do you want? Anyway, my question. Now I forgot my question. Okay, we were talking about technologies. Now it's gone. Shit.
Okay.
Wait. Let me get what I was going to say.
Be used based on a free.
Oh, okay. Wait, I got it. I got it. Then we'll come back to you. What I'm saying is there's cures for diseases. There's ability to regenerate and rejuvenate ourselves in these vats, and we can restore arms. We can raise the dead. We have free energy techniques. We have interstellar space travel. And my point is, how can we get the powers that be that are controlling the Earth? Because the Earth is my project. I remember going back to the terraforming of the Earth, billions and quadrillions of years ago, whatever it was. And I really like the Earth. I like this system. It's my pet peeve, my project. How can we do this? Let's use the last half hour approximately in solutions of bringing these things forward. And I don't want it to be 100 years or 200 years from now. I know there's a way of doing it now. And that's part of, getting the information out there, reaching critical mass, changing people's perspective. So they reach out and demand this. This is our birthright to have these things. We're being kept slaves otherwise. We're being murdered. Operator Gray and the Methuselah Foundation says that human beings are being murdered at the rate of 100,000 people a day, from things that are curable or from being in technologies that are antiquated that fall to earth and crash and burn. So I'm going to put that back out to the rest of you, and we have about a half an hour. Who wants to go first? Raise your hand.
Even if we It depends on the level of free energy they're going to allow. They're already allowing 4-to-1 and 8-to-1 over Unity devices. Beacon Power has the 4-to-1 over Unity, Flywheel, Gaia Energy, and Rush Innovations. They're out there in 10 different countries producing, I think, 4 to 7-to-1 over Unity generators. So it's not like they're opening up wormholes, because and it's not like the United States is out there killing everybody that's doing it, because the United States is doing it. They're doing it in Pennsylvania and Beacon Power, and at the grid size level, 350 megawatt size generator is a pretty big generator. 4-to-1 Unity, that's a lot of electricity over and above the electricity it takes to run it. So it's not like it can't be done. It's not like it's opening up wormholes. And right now I'm working on motors that are using 1/10 of the electricity of normal motor, yet it's 10 times. They're 8 to 24 times more powerful than regular motors, which means that even if you just stayed with batteries and solar cells, that would change everything. Just using my motor, and it's not really an over Unity motor. It just uses a lot less electricity and produces a lot more power. And that's what I just patented on the 9th of December. So I know what can be done even in the lower levels, and they don't open wormholes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that level will probably be coming out this year, 2019?
Well, we're trying to get people to manufacture them. We'll see. I'll let you know how that goes.
Right. Okay. So that we're shooting for this year, 2019. And if anybody wants to or has any information that could facilitate and accelerate this process, getting it out to humanity, do write to me at aquariumradio@gmail, and we'll see what we can do, arranging meetings with the parties to make this happen, because the faster we get this going, the sooner the better for all of us. Comments from Sasha and Penny on these technologies, ideas, how do we get these out to the world? Anybody, say something.
Penny. That's not my field.
Well, okay, then ask a question. Keep it. Don't have dead airspace. Ask something that you think can be answered. I'm not attached to this.
I pass for right now.
Penny, you have. Okay, pass. Penny, what do you have to say? What do you want to comment on?
Well,
Penny, are you there? Go ahead.
I had turned it off because I was having coughing fits.
Okay.
I'm back. I think that the biggest problem we've got is getting the tech out of the black ops. And that would probably take an act of God, because they are so selfish and so greedy, and they won't let go of anything. Once we get into the category of 20-to-1 over Unity, then we can start operating replicators and holographic med beds and making sure that common folks are treated as well as the rich. But you're going to have to think about, there's going to be a lot of vested interests that are going to fight you, because this is going to replace coal, this is going to replace oil, this is going to replace nuclear. There are a lot of people out there making a fortune off of people starving and off of people not having housing. You're up against all of that. And so you have all of these vested interests fighting you getting the technology. So at some point, we as a planet have to decide, are we going to be a galactic level 0 civilization, or are we going to continue to make money off of the back of our own people? And
right.
The galactic level civilization means that every single individual sentient being on your planet is taken care of. That means food, shelter, clothing, medical care, education, and we're nowhere near that. So with the tech that I know of from Nachtwaffen by itself, not even counting the planetary corporations, the cabal, not counting Solar Warden, which is set up to rebel against the Germans, not counting all of the mercenary companies and everybody else. Just what I know from Nachtwaffen.
Mm-hmm.
We can feed and clothe and shelter and educate every person, every human being in the solar system with the tech that I know of is available. It's just a matter of getting it here. And I don't think we should be having to reinvent the wheel. I think that is a criminal offense, because we have already paid for this technology with the literal bodies of human beings.
Right. So that's stating the problem. We've got those solutions, but how do we get the powers to let go? Go ahead, Sasha.
Yeah, what do we do about the people that think they bought us?
Well,
yeah, people think that they've already bought us.
I personally would like to see tribunals and have these people brought to justice, but I don't really think that's going to happen, because we are going to need their help to get the tech. So I think what we actually need to do is declare an amnesty on the condition that they release the tech. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of the veterans are going to throw an absolute fit about that because they want vengeance. I really think what I've been telling Americans to do is to contact their senators and their Congress critters and say, investigate the CIA for child kidnapping. Because this Congress, in both of its houses, has the oversight of the CIA, and they have dropped the ball big time. So if we can get the CIA being actually supervised and the kidnapping stopped, and we can get this all done with consenting adults going forward, that will make a big difference. And once the CIA is being investigated and all of this stuff starts pouring out, like it did in the Church Commission when they investigated for MK Ultra, then we can start having the mess starting to be shown. And once people are seeing, oh my God, we have all this tech, then they will demand it. And Congress will be left in a position of, we have to release this. This is the only way that I can see that we can get it done without getting people killed.
Okay. Dan, your thoughts and comments.
Oh, I reinvented the tech, so I don't really need anything from the Federation or any group. I mean, I reinvented the tech. We don't need their technology.
Well, how are we going to get it released so they're
Well, that's what I'm working on. I'm working on finding manufacturers that will release it. The Chinese are, just one group. There are other groups that we're talking to, to get the technology manufactured. Don't really need the Federation's technology. And as far as amnesty goes, the Chinese are pretty angry and they'd like to have them all executed. But I always make it a condition that they give them amnesty. They're like, "What are you talking about? Amnesty? Why? Those guys tried to kill us. We need to kill them." And I go, that's not really going to work. And it's better if you just give them amnesty, but not in trade for their technology. If they want to give the technology after they get amnesty, that's fine. We don't want their technology. I don't want their technology. I've invented it. I don't need their technology.
Well, the rest of us are not seeing yours either, so.
I haven't patented. It's patented, and I keep patenting them. They're real.
Just because you're patenting them doesn't mean we get to see them.
We need to find a manufacturer who will make them.
Well, raise the money. Most manufacturers listen to money.
Okay, go find me some money.
If I may, this is just perfect. These times are perfect. The challenges that we face are forcing us to have these conversations and to create synergy. And so that I would suggest that things are perfect. They couldn't be better. They are being challenged just at the things we need to deal with. And so dig it.
Right. So that is, maybe there's somebody out there. My thought is just getting the information out there. So we're getting it from behind closed doors to out on the air to talking about it. And there might be people out there that will contact us through this show that are interested in backing this. So how would that proceed, Dan, if there's somebody that wants to manufacture it?
Oh, sure. They can contact me. I have 2 people we're negotiating with now. There's this one group, and they're pretty cool. Well, there was this other group there, it's the OPEC countries, but they kind of stopped temporarily. I don't know why. But then there's this other group out in Africa, a bunch of African countries. I forget how many. I'm not really that concerned until they show me the money. My attorney says, okay, you're promising a $100 million guarantee. You have to show us the $100 million in a real bank, and you're under your control. So we're in the process of verifying their opening bid. And that's just the guarantee. That's not the actual cost of the production. They say they have $1 trillion in trust. My attorney says, okay, show me the money. Prove it.
Right.
That's what we're involved in right now. There's another group. They're really freaked out about the United States. They just want to do the motors. We don't want to do the over Unity stuff. We just want to do the motors. And I go, yeah, the motors is a big deal. The motors would change the world all by themselves. So they just want to do the motors, and they're a pretty cool group. They have a bunch of labs all over Canada, the United States, European Union, different countries, Denmark, Sweden, Russia. So that's a pretty cool group. But a lot of bright physicists in that group. And we're just negotiating with them. We're negotiating with them. Go ahead.
These motors, they could be swapped out of our cars, out of planes.
They're just regular motors. It's just a motor that's 10 times more powerful than any other motor that you know of and uses 1/10 of the electricity. You just have to understand. It's like taking a Tesla X or a Tesla S car, and you see that same battery. You can reduce that battery down to 1/10 its size now, and have a car that will be 4 to 8 times more powerful than that one, meaning it'll run a lot longer on a lot smaller battery. Means that basically you can charge it for a lot longer. You can go a lot longer of a distance. If you take the same size battery that Tesla has in his car now, you can go 8 times longer on one charge with these motors. You understand the difference?
Right. Yeah. 8 times.
Also, because the motor is so much more powerful, the same battery that fits in a Tesla automobile, Tesla car, will power a semi-truck that can pull a tractor trailer. The motor itself.
And the car won't be made out of petrol byproducts.
Well, I know now you're getting really out there on that one. Yeah, you're just asking about the motor.
Right, I just asked about the motor.
That motor in a petrol-free transport device would just totally change everything.
Right, that's the point. Just the motor is huge. And so I have one group that's afraid of the United States. They don't want to do any free energy stuff, but they want the motor. They get that. They got that one.
They get that. So that's the other thing. All these products that are created by petroleum byproducts. What do we do about all those products?
Petroleum byproducts. Well, there's all kinds of plants that produce those same byproducts.
Right. What's I don't even know what all's made from petroleum-based products. What are some of the, Sasha? What's all made from? What are you talking about? What you?
Just about everything that we call plastic is made by a process called
But you don't need to use oil. You don't need to use oil to make plastics.
Okay, tell us about that.
I don't know. I did that research, and I'd have to dig it up again to give you a report on it. But basically, it's plant materials. It's plant materials. It's not oil. Plastics can be made from plant materials. I'd have to give you the articles on it. Somebody asked me that question. I looked it up, and we go, "Oh yeah, sure. You can make plastics out of plant materials."
All right. So what about the cleaning up the oceans? You had an idea on that.
Oh, you're talking about desalination. You're talking about people want water. You're talking about desalination. They asked me to design a desalination system, and I did. It's the same technique that Westinghouse Plasma uses to disassociate plastics, by the way, to take plastics and make a 50 megawatt electric generator plant with it. It's called a plasma gasification. With plasma, you can disassociate seawater into its separate elements. The real trick is putting the hydrogen and the oxygen back together as fast as you separate it. That's been always the problem. But NASA put out a good article and solved that problem. They actually prototyped it as well. They solved that problem in 1965, and I have all their articles and drawings on their prototype. So I know you can put it back together very quickly. The reason nobody does it is because it's very energy consuming. That's what over-unity generators are about, to provide that extra energy. Just like Penny was saying, we have all this technology, but if there's no free energy generators, 20 over unity at least, you can't power them. So we're trying to get the Federation. Maybe the Federation is in favor. I don't know, but there are a lot of people who are definitely not in favor of releasing this technology. I don't know who they are. Different factions of the ICC, whatever. 20 over unity. All of my generators are in the thousands over unity. Nikola Tesla, when he first printed a description of his free energy generator and electricity generator, he patented in 1898, I believe. He said it was 25,000 over unity. He actually said that in an article describing his invention, and I thought it was a misprint, but it's not. Mine are running 24,000 over unity. But it just depends on what the United States military or the powers that be are going to release. I can do it at any level. And like I said, even the motors themselves is a huge change, huge revolution.
Right.
Just motors.
So we're down to the last 3 minutes. I guess closing comments. Penny, what would you like to say? And then we'll finish with Dan. Go ahead, Penny.
Well, there's a lot of tech out there that we could use today, even without the overpower generators. Things that would be extremely useful, but we have to decide as a society that we care about common people first, because everything I'm seeing in the media says we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that has to be the first revolution for us to say, yes, as a planet, as a people, we are going to start caring about our own kids and about each other and about people, even if they're on the other side of the planet. That we're going to stop this service to self, me and mine first nonsense. And until then, the tech will just sit in the hands of the elites, and the rest of us will never see it. And frankly, I'm tired of that. And frankly, I'm tired of knowing that there are 1 million kids a year that are taken to serve in various slave capacities, either in the secret space programs, and I put an S on the end of that, or in sex slavery on Earth. That needs to stop. The slavery, the kidnapping, the mind fracture, it all needs to stop. And the tech needs to be released. And if indeed Dan has these patents, he should be releasing them. And, you know.
Dan, you want to address how...
Oh, yes, I am releasing those patents to anybody that will commit to manufacturing them and can prove that they can pull that off. I always tell that to people. I had the United States military, DOD, and the DOE came and talked to my attorney and said, you know, we'll give you $1 million to build a prototype. And Bobby basically said, well, Dan doesn't want to build one. He needs an order for at least $1 million, and that they're going to be released in society. And the Department of Defense, the general said, no, we don't do that. And Bobby said, well, that's a lie. And we're not doing business with you until you are ready to do that. So that's basically, we are me and my attorneys, we are going to release the technology to anybody that will commit to manufacturing them and can prove that they're going to do it.
Great. Okay, that's it. That's the perfect end of the show. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back at this again on Tuesday. Aloha, love, and blessings.
Aloha.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message. Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Any commercial advertising you may hear in this program is of the sole discretion and benefit of the host of whose program you are listening to. Revolution Radio does not endorse any commercial products, nor does it accept monetary compensation for on-air advertising of commercial products, nor will it ever. We are and shall remain 100% listener supported. Any product advertising on this program are considered used at higher risk, and Revolution Radio shall not be held liable for any claims or damages received from any product advertised within this program. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Thanks for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we are listener-sponsored and commercial-free, but there still are bills to pay. In order to raise some needed funds to cover the cost, our station is offering a silver special. In the continental United States for a $60 donation, or in Alaska, Hawaii, or Canada for a $70 donation, we will send you an uncirculated 2018 1-ounce pure silver Eagle. The $70 donation, the extra 10 is to cover shipping, by the way, outside of the continental United States. When making the donation, you must put Silver Eagle promo in the notes on the donation. And thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at revolution.radio and freedomslips.com. Without you, there is no us. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Take a look around, kid. What do you see? Homes being foreclosed. People working 2-3 jobs just to put food on the table and still drowning in debt. Don't get me wrong. This country is founded on great ideals and principles. They've all been ruined by the banks. Open your eyes to the banks that are robbing you. You know who my favorite president was? Who? Thomas Jefferson. because he saw all of this coming and tried to stop it. He fought the banks. JFK too, and they killed him for it. The banking institution is more dangerous than an army, he said. He also said that every generation needs a revolution, Jimmy. The American dream is just that. Just a dream. War is a continuation of politics, only by other means. Politics is a continuation of economics by other means. This is our bank. This is our